Oh, fuck me dead. So Amazon's interpretation of The Lord of the Rings has finally been teased through a stylistic title sequence of molten metal, carved wooden chasms, and an unbelievably real-looking water and steam. I say unbelievable as this sequence was actually created using real props. Beggars belief considering a lot of the people say that it looks kind of cheap, low budget, low effort, that you'd find from a third-year uni student. This property was purchased by Amazon for a staggering $250 million, however I've heard it goes up and down, but the overall cost of this season so far, $400 to $600 million. Unbelievable amounts of money they're playing with, and they're set and locked in for a 5-season long production, estimated in the realms of a total, get this, $1 billion. Yeah, with a B. You would expect a little bit more from the very first glimpse of the series, but maybe I'm just being pedantic arsehole, and you know, I'll be knocked on my back with my socks completely blown off when the first episode drops on September the 2nd, 2022. Somehow, I very much doubt it. Now, I'm not the biggest Tolkien cave-dwelling scholar out there, nor would I pretend to be, but I have spent many years of my miserable existence reading Tolkien's work. From the obvious Lord of the Rings, all 3 of them. In fact, I've got a book that's so old, it was the original copy, which is just all in one, and then they eventually down the line split it into 3. But obviously, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, Hobbit not as keen on. Then obviously the Silmarillion, I love the Silmarillion. I have a couple of different versions of it, from the digital to a paperback. I've also got a very expensive Folio Society edition one. I love that book. I've also got The Children of Hurin, pretty good. Tells you about some of the origins of some of the first men and different bloodlines of the men, which is quite cool. And Unfinished Tales. Unfinished Tales was really good. It was mostly a collection of some of the work that Tolkien himself couldn't really finish, but he had set out quite a lot of how stories and laws and characters were going to work, and his son put them all together in as coherent way as possible, thus Unfinished Tales. Tolkien's ability to envision an entirely unique pantheon world and history based around European folklore fried my little neurons as a child, exposing me to now age-old tropes such as the hero's journey and that of the black and white line between good and evil. However, with reading Tolkien post-pubescence, you can now get a much broader comprehension of what these tropes really meant. For example, it was easy to classify Melkor, Sauron, and Saruman as evil until you really understand their motives and eventual downfalls. Melkor's being his inability to create truly, like Eru Ilúvatar driving him to corrupt and distort his father's creations, or Saruman's lust for knowledge and the power leading him to betray his oath as the White Wizard to look after all the peoples of Arda, or what he was assigned to do, and Saruman ultimately leading himself to turn away from the cloth, so to speak. So when Gandalf finally confronts him on this in the Fellowship, he finds that he no longer wears the white cloak. In fact, his cloak is one of many colours, and he's corrupted himself with as much knowledge as possible so that he himself can further his own ends being ultimately power and knowledge. But he hit a cap on what he could truly do while staying within the bounds of what was deemed good, and eventually looked towards Sauron. And then Sauron ultimately wanting to fulfill what his master Melkor kind of set out and what he wanted to do, but at the same time, he was looking for his own ends, which were kind of similar to Saruman's. He wanted as much power as possible. He wanted to destroy the creation of Eru Ilúvatar. He didn't think it was what was meant to be. These are the general themes that you see with these kinds of characters. And obviously, Sauron went down this path so much so, and after being beaten relentlessly by the Free Peoples of Middle-earth, back and forwards, he eventually lost his ability to take physical form. So that's obviously why he was bound by the ring. The ring was one of the things that helped him retain a form. That's why after he lost the ring, he was nothing but a lidless eye wreathed in flames. I have so much respect and adoration for what Tolkien built, and yes, I'm not ashamed to say that my spark of interest initially was kindled by Peter Jackson's adaptations. Yes, I understand that several things were changed from the books to the screen adaptation, and yes, I can always go back and read the original writings. But I truly believe that Jackson poured his heart and soul into creating a faithful adaptation, changing only minor character plots so that the movies work better as movies, such as taking out the 17-year gap between Gandalf realizing that Frodo had the ring and going to investigate it more. and then coming back 17 years later to tell Frodo, oh, you must leave the Shire. Yes, that 17-year gap would have been quite painful to watch within a film, but taking that out doesn't really change anything because not much really happened within the storyline of the ring in that 17-year gap. These little changes were minor in the grand scheme of what Tolkien wrote. And as an avid reader of Tolkien's work, I can say I'm a little more than concerned about the approach and direction Amazon appears to be taking with this adaptation. And here's why. Oh boy, I can't wait to see what Amazon have produced for us with this new Lord of the Rings, the power of the rings. I completely said that backwards. The rings of power. Anyway, the show's going to be backwards, so why does it matter? Let's have a look.
Haven't you ever wondered?
Many
what
times.
else is out there? There's wonders in this
Okay,
world.
okay. So I'm guessing this is one of the cities of Numenor. We're getting a first look at that. It's not looking too bad. CG-wise, yeah, not bad, not bad. A bit of a cringy voice over the top. Haven't you ever wondered? No. I'm getting Peter Pan vibes from that voice. I don't know why, I just am.
Ever wondered?
So yeah, we're getting a nice look at
What
Numenor.
else is out there?
So yeah, this is quite a nice looking shot. I'm not going to lie. You've got the Sacred Mountain in the background. This is quite clearly one of the port cities. It's looking nice. It looks a bit dodgy, a little bit over clean, if you know what I mean, but you could tell that this is CG generated. This is not a miniature. But anyway, let's continue. Got that nice swooping shot. Nice bit of Peter Jackson influence right there. Imagine a gust of wind coming right through here and blowing these fuckers off the cliff. Oh, hey up. Hey up, here we go. Is this supposed to be a hobbit?
I can feel it.
I bet you can. Before the king. Which king? At this era in time, there was many kings. Are you talking about Gil-galad? Are you talking about fucking Helm Hammerhand? Who are you talking about here? Oh, I'm guessing it alludes to the Peter Jackson films. Got to make sure that we distinguish ourselves. Okay, what the actual living fuck was that? I'm getting Modern Warfare 2 flashback vibes. Soap! Why is she climbing in armor? Wouldn't that make it harder? So here's the issue I have with this, right? Stylistically, if you were to tell me that this had nothing to do with Tolkien's world, I would actually quite like this. It looks kind of cool, even though I question why she's climbing gauntlets. But this is quite clearly Galadriel. Galadriel is one of the most powerful characters in the entire of the Legendarium. And I'm guessing that this is supposed to be her crossing the Halcaraxe. Now, yes, it is described with giant ice mountains, ice cliffs, blah, blah, blah. It's not described as them climbing the mountains. However, it is actually one of the most perilous journeys that the elves embarked on entering Middle-earth. And I believe it was her brother, right? Her brother's company of elves. They had massive losses to their overall numbers crossing the Helcaraxe. So, yeah, I guess that they are kind of getting it right with how sort of perilous it was, but this is not how it went down. Before the Fellowship, gotta make that distinction. Now, I'm one of the few people who actually think that this scene was probably kind of cool, but only because we saw many different scenes of Legolas doing these kinds of things in the movies. Yeah, okay, he's drawn the bow completely backwards so that when it would release, it probably wouldn't release correctly, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I do have issues with the fact that elves weren't, no offense to those people out there, no offense to this actor, I'm pretty sure he does a great job. Elves weren't technically black, okay? Neither were dwarves. Now, if you're going to change something like that, one, you have to explain the lineage of these characters and why their family bloodlines aren't the same color as them. And the other thing is, you have to explain what happens to them going further into the future. Why are they not in the rest of the Legendarium? Now, I can forgive that, but he's supposed to be a Sylvan elf, one of literally described as some of the lightest, the fairest skinned elves. Why doesn't he have long hair? Yes, I know it's echoed amongst a lot of the Tolkien fandom, but he should really have long hair. This is one of the first signs to me that they're not really respecting the law. Yes, you can do the race swapping all that you want, but you've at least got to try that extra bit. You know, you've got to make sure that your character still embodies what an elf is described as, even if you're not bringing skin tone into it. But anyway, before the ring. Okay, so I'm guessing this is supposed to be Gil-galad. Not too bad, not too bad. Looks fairly like his description. Looking fairly decent. If a little generic, I'll be honest. Just an average fantasy sort of style to him. But this is a pass. I'll give this maybe a 6, and if I was to be a purist, I'd give it maybe a 5. But this isn't too bad. I don't hate this. Oh, okay. Right, okay. So the Xena warrior princess and my girl, they're taking traditionally male traits because that's what they believe to be strong, and they're applying it onto a female character. Galadriel is one of the most imposing characters in all of the Legendarium. Her look, her simple gaze at you, the fact she can speak in your own head, the fact that she is a being emanating light. This is what makes her an imposing, powerful character, and her importance to the universe. The fact that she's one of the first characters to realize that Sauron has returned and is regaining strength, and he is manipulating the peoples of Middle-earth once again. She wasn't a warrior princess. She wasn't riding into battle, leading the North Army. Come on, please. You can take liberties, but this is just kind of taking the mick. And like, even that horse there, the horse looks fucking sad to be part of this. Is this supposed to be a troll? I mean, stylistically, it's really cool. I myself, I have a degree in computer graphics, so I like to make CGI a little bit, and this is really cool from that kind of standpoint. The lighting, the texturing, the physics of the fur, clearly not X-Gen. It's really nice, you know, a little bit of spittle going on here. It's really nice. I just don't know how they're going to use it, and it doesn't really fit into the lore. By the way, Galadriel wasn't going around fighting monsters in caves. A new legend begins this fall. A new legend which is predicated upon the existence of the previous legend. Therefore, it's not really a new legend. It's more of a prequel. Whatever. This looks cool, though, this shot. I don't mind this. This looks quite cool. I'm guessing it's supposed to be something like Linden. Hey, an actual dwarf. Get a good look at him. Okay, he looks very sad. I'm guessing he's also sad to have been part of this. He's probably watching the script roll in, being butchered as Tolkien has been sacrificed on the altar of diversity, and he's just crying. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Okay, now this is Elrond. This femboy fatale. This is Elrond. Elrond, yes. I'm just gonna leave you there with that little look he's got going on. Okay. And then we've got, is it Disa, the princess of the dwarves? Now this is going to sound weird, but she's too pretty to be a dwarf. She's too pretty. She looks too humanoid. Obvious, where's the beard? Not the beard, but where's the beard? Where's the beard, man? I'm not even going to talk about the fact that once again we've got the same issue going on with the race swapping, but where's the beard? Come on. If you're going to do these things, at least let us know you're trying to be faithful, but at the same time, bring in modern politics. Even though we don't want it there, but at least, please be faithful. And she's covered in gold. What's she been doing? Like, I don't know. As a princess, she wouldn't be mining. She wouldn't be doing any of that. But, hey-ho. Okay, right there. Cardinal sin right there. Anybody who's a fan of Tolkien will tell you that Galadriel's hair was almost sacred. Especially with how powerful she was. This guy would have lost his fucking arm. He would have lost his arm. With one word, the power of her voice would have blown him to bits. This would not happen in Tolkien's universe. The elves are not humans with pointy ears and long hair. The elves are almost ethereal beings. They're almost alien to the rest of the peoples of Middle-earth. They move completely different, almost afloat with this beautiful elegance. They are not the same. They don't even weigh the same. They are very, very light. They can walk on snow. Now, come on. This wouldn't have happened. Hey, Burning Man on fire. Burning Man. Is this the meteor I've been hearing so much about? The man from the meteor? Obviously, it's probably going to be Anatar. Let's be honest. It's going to be Anatar. Or it could be one of the blue wizards. Now, I would accept that, even though that's not how they reportedly came into Middle-earth. I'd accept that. Beautiful shot. Okay, is this an image of the dwarves forging? I'm guessing so. Maybe this is the dwarves forging the rings, even though they didn't forge the rings. But that would be kind of cool. And then we've got, I can't tell if that's the same elf from before, but we've got this guy in chains leaping. Really nice looking shot. Too clean, considering it's quite clearly an enslavement camp or a labor camp or something like that. A bit too clean, but yeah, nice. Okay, right now here's the bread and butter. This is probably, I'm guessing, Galadriel's brother, Finrod, and this might actually be the battle in which he dies in. Now, can we just take a second to look at the actual style of the armor? This doesn't look elven to me. This almost looks Greek. Look at it. Look at it. It does Greek Roman mix. Okay, they've got some of the curvature of the armor and stuff going on here, but it looks like just ordinary medieval armor. The elves did not look like that. Once again, short hair on an elf. Why? Why? This character himself is screaming, why? I don't understand why they've done it. We can see a little bit here from what appears to be a goblin or an orc. Yeah, okay. This tiny little bit that we see from them looks alright, but I need to see a head-on shot. Oh, down here we can see the face of an Orcai or whatever. Not an Orcai, they wouldn't have existed at this point. But once again, even this doesn't really enthrall me. It doesn't feel much like Tolkien's work. And then I'm guessing this is going to be either one of the wizards or it's going to be Anatar, and this is, I suppose, maybe a hobbit or a Harfoot, which just, they shouldn't exist at this point. They didn't come about until the Third Age. They were found in a tiny little valley near Lorien. They moving on. Is there any more? Okay, we get the title. The Rings of Power. Oh, what have they done to my boy? They've butchered this. So that was the first look at it. Now, these are the posters that they sent out to begin with. So I'm guessing that this is probably one of the princes of Numenor. I'm guessing by the sun sigil on both the breastplate, the hilt of the sword, and the blade. So yeah, I'm guessing that. I've not really got a clue who this could be. Fishman, for all I care. I really, yeah. Well, this is quite clearly Galadriel in her battle armor, which Galadriel never wore. She never needed battle armor. That's how powerful she was. The blade looks cool. I'll give it that. It's quite clearly the two trees of Valinor. You've got the mix of the gold and the silver. It's quite nice. I like that. Now this is Tolkien. This is Tolkien. I like this. Bit of gold dust on his hands is a bit weird, considering when you mine gold you find it in nuggets, but whatever. Yeah, is what it is. I'm guessing this is an elf lord. I think this is Gil-galad from the trailer. Now this is interesting. This could be I can't remember the name of the sword, but it's one of the swords that gets thrown into the waters and just left for a long time. But yeah, I could be wrong. Now I think this could actually be the king of Numenor, and this is his cathedral, his little city on top of the scepter. Now this scepter does have a name. It's one of the only notable scepters within Tolkien's work. I can't exactly remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I do remember a reference to the scepter. Okay. And then we go over to Vanity Fair and their little breakdown of this. And I'll be honest, I don't care for it. It doesn't feel like Tolkien, despite the race swapping and the politics injected into it. The actual aesthetics of it don't feel like Tolkien's work. They're not respecting much of Tolkien's work. They're bringing in their own characters. They're making up ones. You got one called Halbrand. Where is he? He's down here somewhere. Or is he not in this article? I don't care. You got Halbrand. You got a character called Bronwyn who has a love affair with this character here, Arondir. Sorry. Now, men and elf relationships were very rare. In fact, there's only really 3 actual marriages between these two races across the entire Legendarium. And I believe that's Luthien and Beren, Idril and Tuor, and Aragorn and Arwen. And it's because of how destructive that those relationships could really be, and just how chaotic they could be. Obviously, one doesn't live that long. In order to have that life, the elf has to give up mortality, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't happen that often, and it kind of acts more like a cautionary tale, right? So the huge libbies that have been taking place here, you've got the princess here, Durin the Fourth. At this point in time, it should technically have been Durin the Third, so I'm guessing they're going to be taking a lot of his role away and making Durin the Fourth some sort of side character. I mean, okay, that's what they're going to do. They're going to make her more important than him. That's just sort of naturally what's going to happen in the modern day. I'll be honest, I don't have much love for this series. And it's mostly because I feel like they're completely disrespecting what Tolkien laid out. Now, I'm not one of these people who hate it because of the race swapping. I acknowledge the fact that that is nothing to do with his original lore. It was entirely based on European. It was a replacement for English mythology that was completely lost through 1,000 years of invasions. Tolkien set out to make a replacement, and he said it himself in some of his letters. I'm not directly quoting. It's not what I do here. I'm not pulling up quotes of what happened. If you don't believe me, go Google it yourself. Let me know in the comments if I have misspoken. Berate me all you want. I don't care. That's what this is here for. I want people to have that kind of attitude here. It's not Tolkien. I'm sorry, it's not. Had this been any other IP, it wouldn't have upset the fandom half as much as it really has done. But hey ho, that's what they've done. Anyway, if you like what I've just shown you, if you don't like what I've just shown you, let me know down in the comments. Like, dislike, subscribe if you want to, don't if you don't want to. I don't really care. It's up to you. But do one thing for me. Have a nice day. Try not to let anything get on your tits too much, and take care.